Hey guys, welcome to Deepwater Legends. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Nate. This is Troy. Tonight we have a special guest. He is a master at slow pitch jigging, vertical jigging, and bottom fishing in general in the Charleston area. Welcome to the show, Jake. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, Nathan and
We're
Troy. How
doing
are
good,
y'all?
man. It is hot down here in South Carolina. Ooh, it's been like 100.
It's been a little
Oh yeah.
spicy. Wishing I was
Oh,
on the
yeah, me
water.
too. So let's jump right into it. Do you mind giving our listeners and the people watching some background on you, some of your experiences, and what you're a specialist in?
Sure, yeah. So I am not originally from here. I grew up in Virginia. Kind of cut my teeth fishing out of Cape Charles, Virginia, on the eastern shore. Spent a lot of time chasing cobia, deep's head, bull reds, black drum, rockfish, and big tog in the winter there. Bought a house here 5 years ago. Live on Johns Island proper, and kind of really started offshore fishing from there. So it's fairly new to me. I have done a lot of it. I've been very fortunate to become a fast learner, I guess, and also get a lot of opportunities to get out and fish from slow pitching for bull reds under the Ravenel Bridge all the way to tilefish and 900 plus foot. So I've been very fortunate, gotten a lot of
And what's
opportunities.
awesome is you're also like the area's expert on all things jigging at Hatterell's, our favorite local tackle shop. Shout out to you guys at Hatterell's. So, first off, for our listeners that may be unfamiliar, what is vertical jigging? How's it differ from slow pitch jigging? And which one do you prefer?
Sure, yeah. Most of the, I would say about 98% of the stuff I do is slow pitch jigging. I would say the biggest difference is where vertical jigging is presenting a bait, if you will, versus slow pitch jigging is presenting a wounded bait. I always try to describe it as like the fly fishing of offshore fishing. Everything's based on feel, everything is very finesse and very technique specific, whereas the vertical jigging is a little bit more mechanical and can be violent all times, like speed jigging for tuna. I do love doing that. I do love tangling with a good amberjack every trip. Like it warms the muscles up. Hard to stay away from them down here. But I would say the biggest difference is the presentation of the
Oh yeah,
lure.
I definitely say it's hard to stay away from amberjacks, and even harder to stay away from those sharks. And sometimes when you're on an amberjack, you're on a shark too. So we do a lot of vertical jigging and slow pitch jigging as well. Really big fans of it. What kind of depths are you looking for specifically when you're talking offshore vertical jigging? What kind of areas are you going for? How far out? Stuff like that.
Sure, yeah. I think the things I love the most are deeper water stuff. I became fascinated. I think I got into it. It's been a little bit over 4 years ago. Just quick sidebar. I was very fortunate. I moved here, got a job at Hadrell, started working for Mike and Graham Abel, and that opened a lot of doors and opportunities for me to meet people in the industry. And meet other folks of like mind, and was able to start kind of riding with people on boats. It started with catching red snappers and amberjacks and some small gag groupers and blackfish or sea bass, triggerfish, all your usual like demersal suspects. And then I got a taste of like 300 foot and beyond, and I became obsessed with like chasing that, like we like to call it in a group of buddies that fish together here, like the 1% of the 1%, like chasing snowy groupers and yellow edge groupers, golden and blue line tilefish, black line tilefish, goldface, longtail sea bass, all these exotic creatures. So I spend most of my time probably 300 to 900 foot of water. And it's all species specific. I try to bring rods for trips where I could fish them from 80, 90 foot, or our ledge here all the way out to like the Charleston bump.
Absolutely. We do a lot of our jigging in those same areas as well. I came from up north out of New Jersey where we have a tremendous tile fishery. And unfortunately, here it closes in less than 1 month. It opens January 1st, it closes January 30th, which is terrible because they're still out here in pretty good number. Last year, we caught our first sand tile fish, which was pretty crazy. We had to look that one up. And we just
Yeah.
love jigging. We've been doing it for a couple years now. It's one of our favorite kinds of fishing just because there's so much input and you just feel that fish come and throttle that bait when it's down there. What size weights are usually like weighted jigs are you usually using when you're in 300 versus 600 and beyond?
Sure. So I think like for those that do or don't know, I think the general rule of thumb we use is like 1 gram per foot of water. So if I'm going out to fish in 300 foot, I'm gonna have jigs probably ranging from 250 to 420 grams, specific to that 300-foot depth. It's not an exact science. There's a lot that goes into it. Your currents, your tides, your wind. Are you drifting? Are you anchored or spot locked? I don't know anyone that wants to pull up an anchor chain from 300 foot, but more power to you. So it really just depends. But I spent a lot of time jigging. Like, I brought some stuff, like some 420-gram jigs we'll throw out for like snowies. This happens to be my personal favorite jig. It's a Nomad streaker in their Rasta color. It's got a glow belly. You can see the Rasta color there. For whatever reason, I've caught a lot of snowy grouper on that jig. Anywhere all the way out to 140 grams or 560. Hooked my first sailfish on a slow pitch jig earlier this year, tile fishing on this deep liner or Ocean's Legacy deep liner contact. That was quite a thrill. Never landed it, but yeah, anything from 300 foot, again, like I'd like to be able to get away with a 300-gram jig. I'd like to be able to get away with lighter. You're introducing a piece of lead that's unnatural to their environment, so I'd like to be able to get away with the smallest profile possible.
Absolutely. We're a big fan of these magic tail jigs. We get them for free. They're excellent jigs, nice jig bags and stuff as well. But there's a lot of other companies that make some really nice jigs. One of the companies that I'm a fan of are the Shimano butterfly jigs. Those are phenomenal as well. Do you have a personal favorite or go-to brand or anything when you're looking for them?
I fish like in states. I'll use that phrase. I fish the Nomad Design products a lot. I'm a member of their pro staff, so I fish a lot of their stuff in various sizes. The streaker that I just showed happens to be my favorite. I fish a lot of the JYG products. They're out of Florida. Some of you may see it, Jig Pro or JYG. They make a ton of stuff. George, who owns the company, is fantastic, super good guy. All the guys down there, Brian, all those guys are great. They're super intuitive and into it. Like, they are fishing prototype jigs themselves to then design it for the public. And so they are truly trial and error, a lot like Dante does with Magic Tail. It's trial and error stuff. If it works for him or them, why not introduce it to the public? Internationally, I use a bunch of, like, I call them old school, but like original, like Japanese jigs where the sport of slow pitch jigging started. So like a bunch of rockcaster jigs, the original gangster stick, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but the style of like a streaker style jig is the gangster stick. When their patent ran out in Japan back in the 90s, every company started building some form of that. It is still to this day, in my opinion, the best style mold that's made. So I fish a various amount of things, man. I've got people that send me some stuff to try that I try out. I really just like catching fish, so whatever they're gonna chew on, I'm good
Do you have
with.
a color preference? I know me personally, pink, it's been a go-to from Alaska here to Charleston, down in Florida. Pink has always seemed to, get the fish on. I'm wondering if you tend to notice colors, change what kind of fish are hitting or.
Yeah, I think that color can make a difference. I think it's very specific to like where you're fishing, like depth wise, right? Because of light and visibility. I would say I probably have more pink and white, or pink and glow, or pink and silver jigs in my jig bucket than any of them. I would say to me, what's more important, just because of where I spend probably the majority of my time out deep, is having a jig with some kind of glow on it. And most of the time, I'm hitting it with like a UV light, like a good flashing for 20, 30 seconds just to light it up and get it down there. I think that makes a bigger difference. But I do think, like, inside of that, for a lot of the guys fishing 80 to 200, 250 foot, chasing gags and scamps and other various species, for whatever reason, to me, pink just stands kind of alone, all by itself, like at the top, the
We're
upper
really big
echelon.
fans of glow as well, and we often say if it don't glow, it don't go. There's a reason that these
Yeah,
blue and silver
that's a,
ones are still in the package brand new
yeah,
because all the glow ones are ripped out and in my
yeah, I
bag.
like that.
We like to show the new
Yeah,
stuff on the show. Um,
yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, so when it comes down to your rods, everyone has specifics. Now, they do make specific rods just for slow pitch jigging. I have two of them here on the table. This is a Penn Battalion. It looks pencil thin, but I can tell you this thing is strong. And then this is a Daiwa
Yeah.
Saltiga with a Shimano Stella reel. And you can't go wrong with that either. The Stellas are just such a phenomenal reel. Not saying that you have to have a Stella to do this. You can do it with much different equipment as well. A lot of guys are doing it with baitcaster reels and more affordable
Yeah.
reels, but the Stella is just tried and true offshore. What's your go-to
That's,
preference?
yeah, so like when I'm slow pitch jigging, like I've got brought a couple of setups just to kind of point out. For a lot of my deeper water stuff, like snowy fishing, I love the new Shimano Osha Jigger LD 2500. Big fan of lever drag, and that's total preference there. But I like setting the drag at strike and never having to worry about where it's at from there. Though, little disclaimer, a lot of the drag and pressure you're going to apply on fish comes from your thumb on the spool. Rarely does it come from the reel itself, if you will. Rod wise, like again, like Nathan was saying, like needle thin, like pencil thin rods. I mean, this rod's rated 200 to 350 grams. It's a CTS custom built rod out of Australia. Super fast motion, great. It's a very traditional, like slow pitch setup. I would say, like, things you can buy in store or in stock. Kind of hard to beat. The Pin Battalion's a great rod. I do really love the Shimano game type rods. Again, very needle thin. This one I've got a Nosha Jigger 2000, and so that's going to be Star Drag. A great reel, really impressive, big gears. So I like fishing. This is probably my favorite production rod. I do have a lot of custom rods. I got a guy here in Charleston that builds rods for me. His name's Ben Stark, Chucktown Custom Rods. Anybody wants to reach out to him, look him up on Instagram. He's fantastic. I think I've got 7 of his builds right now from various sizes. From, you mentioned bait casters. I've got some Shimano Corrado 300s that I slow pitch under the Ravenel Bridge with bull reds for. And those rods are like 20 to 80 grams. I mean, they look like a twig from my backyard that my dog chews on. And I'm catching 40-inch bull
I
reds
think
on it.
another thing to mention that's important is for these rods that you have a traditional reel on, they're acid wrapped. What that does is it allows the line to twist around and go out of the bottom of the rod so you can still have it and fight the fish without it twisting in your hands as if you were doing it with the regular traditional rod.
Sure, absolutely. And that comes down to like the construction of the rod too, like you were just touching on. Like when they roll the rod, it is quite literally rolled. I always describe it to people. You take a traditional rod that's built, and when it is rolled, it's rolled in a very circular straight. A slow pitch rod, the way it's rolled, is ovular, and so it comes out like this and then rolls down. So in your hand, it can quite literally roll without you losing any pressure on the fish, putting any unwanted pressure on the rod or the blanket itself. And then on top of that, the acid wrapped, it allows you to use small guides. Like on the rods that I've got, I'm using a stripper or runner guide that's a size 6, and everything else is 5 and smaller. And so the line is staying in the most direct contact with the blank that it can, providing me the best feel and best leverage. Again, slow pitch jigging to me starts with feel. It's all feel based, it's all very technical and in the hand. And I think rod construction makes a big
And it
difference
also
in that.
gives the bait a lot better action as well. Like if you're out there with a broomstick or something, you're just yanking and pulling it. Like, you know what kind of rods I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Like the ones when you go out on someone's boat and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what are you pulling in with that thing? A whale?
Yeah, exactly. I think you touched on it a little bit too, like the conventional reels. Love them for slow pitch jigging. To me, you can slow pitch with spinning gear. I do think that it puts you at a slight disadvantage technically, just from a foundation. You can't control the line on the way down. You don't have as big a gear in a spinning reel as you do in conventional gear. Oftentimes they're faster, but with less torque or power. When it comes to vertical jigging or speed jigging, I think that spinning gear is unmatched because speed is everything. And so I think there's different strokes for different folks, and that's the love of this industry, and the hate for some people is you got to buy a one rod and one reel for every single individual purpose.
Yeah. What are you spooling your reels up with? Are you using mono? Are you using
Braid?
yeah, thanks. Braid.
Braid. Yeah. Yeah, I fish
So
braid.
do we.
Yeah.
If you're going to go ahead.
No, we fish braid as well. The size of the braid depends
Yeah.
on what size jigs we're using and of course what kind of fish we're getting. But
Yeah.
generally we're putting on anywhere between 40 and 60 pound braid for
Right.
general fishing. Now when you get outside of like the general area, then we start talking into heavy braid. Then I'm gonna put on my electric reel that has the auto jig feature because I'm not trying to retrieve jigs from 1,000 feet of water.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think Troy, to answer like your question, like line wise, I found a love for Yozuri Super Braid. It is a 5 carrier or 5 strand line, and it is a fused braid. So when it's wrapped or braided, it's just done under heat. So it is slightly thinner, similar to like a Max Quattro from Power Pro. Also another great line. It's a fused line. Now I'm fishing PE 1.5, which is like the American translation to 15-pound braid across the board slow pitch jigging. The common misconception is that 15, 20, 30-pound braid breaks at that exact poundage. When braid came over from Japan, there was just no direct way to correlate what PE 1.5 was, and so they slapped 15 pounds on it. A 15-pound braid on like a dead up and down pull, which is what we're doing bottom fishing or jigging, breaks around 28 to 33 pounds of pressure. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to hold 30 pounds of pressure on a rod. For a long fight, I got rods that probably couldn't hold it without breaking. And so I fish super light line. Main reason of that being when it comes to bottom fishing and jigging, beyond the other stuff we talked about, the most important thing is time vertical. Straight up and down. How long can I stay in the strike zone? So that thin PE 1.5 or 15-pound braid is going to cut through the water really well. You'll stay vertical. Now, I'm not fishing straight braid all the way to the jig. And so I've got a shot of 40-pound fluoro, generally speaking, anywhere from 10 to 20 foot or longer if I know I'm fishing like a reef or some kind of shipwreck or a huge piece of relief or a big hole. And I'm using generally 40-pound fluoro. If I fish a reef and I know I'm fishing a reef, I'll bump it up to 60 or 80 just for abrasion resistance.
That's awesome. See, when we're going out vertical jigging, a lot of times we get tired of the sharks. We start doing like the 40-pound mono, and then all of a sudden we're getting sharked left and right. We're like, okay, it's time to put some heat on these bad boys. And we go clip some 100-pound, 130-pound leader, throw it on there, and it's like, okay, we're at least going to get a workout out of this one.
Yeah, eventually you can get mad at them, and like I've been there many times, probably about once or twice a trip with the amount of sharks we have here, and I'm just like, bring out the electric, like let's put a hook in one and let's make him mad, and hopefully the rest will leave us alone.
Like we've had sharks follow us from one reef to another. Like it's just crazy. Like if they're within a couple 100 yards and you just pick up and go to the other, and 2 seconds later you see the same one swimming around the boat.
Yeah, we were out in a spot that we found probably about a month and a half ago. We were trolling. We had blasted off a sail bite on the long that we just whiffed. The dolphin bite was slow for us. We had some little flip-flop slingers in the spread, and we looked, my buddy and I that I fish with a lot, looked at each other and just said, all right, let's pack it in. Let's start heading that way. Ran over a piece of bottom that looked great, doing like 6 knots, and pulled the spread in, eventually circled back around and checked it. Ended up being fantastic. We caught 17-pound snowy, a couple other snowies. We ended up catching 4 yellow edge groupers. Caught some, to me at least, rare to hear longtail sea bass in Charleston, which is a pulley ridge fish. I'm glad they're here. I've been back to that spot twice since and caught them both times. But we had, to that point, I guess, we had a shark show up at some point. You get everything stirred up and eventually they're going to come through. We drifted off of it, and we were like, oh, let's try another spot. And it was like a mile away. And went over to it a mile away, and lo and behold, I don't know if it was the same shark, but a shark of similar size shows up and starts eating grouper, and I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, it makes you want to just somehow eradicate them all.
We talk about this on a couple episodes, and I think the only way to really do that is to get people actively fishing for them and keeping them and realizing that they do make good food. I think the best way to do that is to get like a celebrity chef on board, find a way to cook some, and then introduce it to the public and show that it is like something that's sustainable. It's not going anywhere, and that it is harvestable and good to eat. I think that there's been just such a bad name put on shark fishing ever since like Mako Madness and stuff like that with the blue sharks up north that really demonized the fishing for sharks. And without doing some kind of like conservation efforts, I think it's going to become more and more of a problem everywhere. So if you're a celebrity chef and you happen to be listening to this, reach out. We'll get you as much shark meat as you want to practice with and cook, and we'll get you in touch with restaurants and anything we can do to try to make this a public thing.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I've listened to your last episode with Tyler Causey and Tyler Mosner from Seakeeper, and I agree. Like, I think that is a way to help, at least, for sure, because having to meet everything and just swim back away, I'm not sure how much help that's doing for us as anglers.
Yeah, exactly, because it puts such a hurting on the fishing, because like you're over a reef, you catch some fish. Of course, everyone's conservation minded. You're not keeping every fish over the rail, even if they are legal size. You throw it back over and it gets eaten by a shark, and then they start showing up and they're eating 50% of the fish they're getting thrown back. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. And then I think too, like, you know, there are days where, and I personally prefer, because of stuff like that, to your point, I try to avoid reefs, like the publicly marked reefs, because of that. And there are days where the live bottom is just as full. And to me, it's just like, well, I know these sharks didn't leave the reef to come to the live bottom. It's just different sharks, and there are truly that many. And I'm not for killing off the species.
Oh, we're not either.
That.
We're just saying for sustainably harvesting them, they're everywhere. Like we're getting sharked on wahoos. Someone just got sharked on what would have been a winning blue marlin in the Big Rock. Like there's a shark out there that bit into like a 568-pound blue marlin. Like that's insane.
Nothing I'm pulling up off the bottom they're going to be scared of.
Unless I'm using the LP.
No. Yeah, you brought up Mako and that spot I was talking about where we were catching some of those cool exotic species we found. I did hook and successfully leader a Mako on the slow pitch jig. A little bit of dumb luck, like had no clue it was hooked. It's about a 10-minute fight. I thought I had like the one, like the snowy to end all snowies. A lot of dead weight. Ended up measuring out about 5.5 foot before she realized what was going on and took off. Gave us 3 jumps and broke the 15-pound braid that I was fishing. Pretty cool experience. First one I'd seen here. I've got some buddies that have hooked them and caught them sword fishing before, but hadn't personally seen one in person, and it was a little creepy
I've
and
done a
pretty
lot of
cool.
mako shark fishing up north when it was legal before it became a species you're not allowed to fish for, and we harvested a couple, and it's hard to find a better fish in the ocean to eat than that.
I've heard they're delicious. Like I heard tell that had I wanted to harvest it, should it have been legal, that it would have been quite the meal, similar
Oh
to
yeah.
swordfish.
Yeah, I would say like it's almost
Yeah.
unidentifiable. Like if you were to tell somebody it was a pork chop, they would probably believe it. It's very similar.
Okay. A mystery meat of
Yeah, but I
sorts.
mean it's really good. It's
Yeah.
a delicious fish, and I highly suggest it once they come off of the list, hopefully here soon. I know they're on I think a
Yeah.
3-year memorandum that turned into a 5-year memorandum, so hopefully it's not one
Yeah.
of those permanent ones lost forever.
Sure. Yeah.
So, what is your absolute favorite fish to go and target?
Man, I love big, ugly, slimy groupers. Like in all their beauty. I love catching them. I love the fight. For whatever reason, there's something about I like that my will and my limitations and abilities get tested in 10 seconds, and that decides whether that fish is coming up or not. There's something about that challenge that I love. I think that's my favorite. Also, it's a little bit more readily available distance wise. If I had to pick one, I'd just go do regardless of it. It's tile fishing. It's my favorite
Mine
eating fish
too.
in the ocean. It's one of my favorite to catch. I love, and again, I love that challenge of it. I like that, that 1% of the 1%, or I like that thing that nobody else is really doing. Like I want to go figure it out for myself and try that. And we've got a great golden tile fishery here. I don't know how many people are or are not aware of that. I caught my personal best earlier this year in January, and we actually were able to do 4 trips during the season this year. And we caught limits 3 times and then caught a solo the other trip. But I caught a 20-pound 8 ouncer hand cranking in 820 foot. And that's pretty special. That's probably my single favorite catch, short of hooking that sailfish and not landing it, and then hooking that mako. That golden tile's
You got
right
to
there
get
with
up to the
those.
Hudson Canyon, man. The fishery up there is completely unmatched.
Yeah.
Like you're talking a 20-pound tile here, they're pulling them up 50 pounds plus up there. They're just beasts.
I know it's special. I got some buddies back home that fish the Norfolk Canyon a lot, and they talk about some of the absolute hammers up there. And up there, it's different. I had a buddy that fished last week, and I talked to him on the phone, and he was like, "Man, we were so tired of catching blue line tiles, we went to go catch goldens." And I was like, "That must be a nice problem to have."
Yeah, we're allowed like 7 golden tiles a person up in New Jersey area,
Yeah.
and a couple years ago we took Lee Bryce, the country singer, and his band out, and we came back with probably
Yeah,
50 of them. Like it was insane. Loaded the
that
boat with that and
that's pretty
tuna and
special.
mahi. It was a excellent trip, and
Yeah.
I always tell people I'll trade a 100-pound yellowfin for a 30-pound tilefish any day of the week. They're just so delicious.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man. There's something about like those exotic like fish. Like and earlier that spot we ran across that I keep referencing, like that was my first yellow edge grouper I'd ever caught before. And there's just something about them. Like everyone finds a list of fish they want, and I've got a long myriad of list of these exotic special groupers that I'm ready to go out and catch.
So, when you are looking for spots for groupers, are you finding them mostly when
Yeah.
you're trolling? You're just keeping an eye on your MFD and you're like, oh, here's the spot. Let's pull in the lines and let's do it. Are you using strike lines charts? Are you using anything specific?
Sure. So I have like the Navionics app on my phone, which is it's been just
Yep,
Garmin
that's what
relief
we use
shading.
as well. And we also have
Um,
strike lines on the boat.
yeah.
And it's been tremendous for finding areas and doing trip planning ahead of time. It's not always 100% on. Sometimes you have to mosey around a little bit and
Yeah,
find exactly the spot,
for
whether
sure.
it's 50 feet away or so. But it's really really advantageous.
I would say when it comes to like the deep water stuff, I would gander 90 to 95% of those spots are spots I've been trolling over, and there was a blip and I was like, "Oh, check that out." And then I have them all categorized with a specific marker on the chart. And every time we're near it, I'm like, let's go do a figure eight. Let's go circle it. Let's go see what it actually is. There are a lot of them that get wiped off the chart and are never to be fished again. And I've been fortunate the last few years to find a lot of productive stuff that has stayed on the chart and get special names now. But a lot of it's done that way. Kind of a maniac. My fiance gets a little perturbed at times when I'm just scrolling the relief shading, like, check this out, look at this, and check that out. And she's like, you've got to be kidding me. She also doesn't care unless I bring it home and she can share in harvesting and eating it with me, and then she's happy.
That's great. Yeah, my family doesn't eat fish at all, which is a pain in the butt because then it's like, you have all this tuna or all this wahoo and stuff, and it's like, nope, you don't care. You might as well not win.
Yeah, I'll say too, like another thing, like I talked to a guy about this the other day on the phone, and I don't know if it's just dumb luck or I think it happens to everyone at times, but you're running offshore and you stop for whatever reason. Somebody needs a drink, somebody's got to use the bathroom. You stop because you see something. Well, I'll drive the boat and y'all can bail dolphin off the log. That's great. Let's fill the box. But I'm watching that sounder. And if we roll across something that looks great, like let's mark it. And we found what I still to this day presume is a shipwreck in about 170 to 190 foot. We stopped for like a pee break, had some tunas blowing up. Said I'm hooked a couple on poppers, came unbuttoned, and then I just looked at the screen and I was like, oh my God. And it has produced tremendous gag grouper. It has produced plenty of red snapper, though it's quite a long run for our 2-day season that we do get here. It's produced a lot of like 16 to 20 pound scamp groupers, lots of tunas. We've caught some wahoo around it. So just random dumb luck like that. I think I've been fortunate and lucky as much as I've been, a
That's
decent angler.
awesome. Yeah, we are constantly watching our MFD as well when we're trolling. What are your favorite settings to have, like while you're trolling, so you get the best picture of the bottom? And first, what kind of MFDs are you usually using? I assume either Simrad or Garmin's, like 8610s or.
Yeah, Simrad 16-inch like EVO 3s is what we've got. For whatever reason, I've fallen in love with Simrad. I think it's other than like a Furuno. Furuno is pretty special. I've spent a little bit of time on a boat with a Furuno, and for specific to bottom reading is pretty special. But that Simrad to me is the best overall unit that I've experienced personally. I think the Garmin might be a little more user friendly navigation wise and technicality wise. But if you can get that Simrad dialed, I don't think there's anything else that can
Yeah,
really
we
touch
like
it.
them all. We're not picking favorites here on this show, but we use them
Yeah.
all. I'm very familiar with the Evo these as well as Frunos. Have you ever been on a boat that had a sonar? What a
I
game
have
changer,
like the
man.
Omni.
Yeah, even the
Yeah,
searchlight sonars are excellent. Definitely
yeah.
changed the game.
I mean, and then setting wise, like if I'm riding around and we know we're just gonna troll, I'm probably gonna set it to like a low chirp setting or 200 kilohertz, and I'm gonna we'll just watch the bottom the whole time. If we're dragging a weed line and we know we're gonna be in an area, we're targeting dolphin, not really super specific to bottom fishing areas to begin with, or any kind of structure necessarily. I'm just gonna put it on like low chirp or 200 kilohertz. I'm gonna zoom into the bottom 30 to 50 foot, and I'm just gonna watch it, and every little thing I see is getting marked, and we just circle back to it and check it
Are you
out.
using fast or like medium, slow?
When we're trolling, normally using it at like 2x. Once we're out deeper, I will slow it down even more, and there are times I will also speed it up. I would say once we get beyond 300 foot and we're just bottom fishing, pretty much have dialed it down to low chirp. I think it really shines 600 to 1,000 foot, but I kind of leave it there even at 300. I've had some days where we fished a spot. It was really great. We went back another time to fish it. The settings weren't the same on the sounder. Flipped the settings over, and we found the fish just, another, like you said earlier, 50 foot away. And it's just we weren't marking it the same. The settings weren't the same. So I think it's super specific. I personally like to play with it a lot on the water and get a read, and just I act a lot on feel and try to do things on the fly.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
we're very similar. We go out there and mess around. Sometimes it's going super fast, sometimes fast or medium, just depending on our speed. What power transducer is usually on the average boat that you're out on?
It just depends. I mean, it's a various number of them. I fish a handful of boats, kind of not exclusively, but exclusively, and it just varies. I fish. One of my closest friends has a yellowfin, and I probably spend. I run a CV or take care of a CV for a guy. And when I'm not on that boat, I'm pretty much only fishing the yellowfin, unless I'm invited to bill fish with somebody, which, to be clear, is a little bit outside my realm, though I do like it and it's fun. Again, I'm addicted to challenges and have an obsessive personality that way, but it varies. It's truly across the board. So I try to be adaptable, and when I'm on somebody else's boat and fishing, I try to just trust what's going on and just
I
get
know
out
the
there and
boat that we
fish.
fish most often has two transducers on it. We have like a 600 and a
Yeah.
1 kilowatt. And I know once we get out
Yeah.
past like 600 feet, we swap them over.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like the deeper you go, I think you need, I mean,
Yeah.
you need a
We put it
specific
on there just for sword
transducer for
fishing,
fishing
just so
deep.
we can know if it's productive ground or not. Same with when we go after wreck fish.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's on my list too, man. I really want to catch a swordfish on a jig, like really bad. I've got a buddy that caught one in Florida last year. Well, hooked one, ended up losing it within sight of the boat, but hooked one on a jig, and he jerry rigged like a big streaker style jig like this, and had 80-pound fluoro shot off the back with kind of like an ebbing rig from Japan, if you've heard of the term, and really just a little grub on a hook off the back. And he fought the swordfish for 45 minutes. And that's become a thing for me. Like the last couple times we tried it, when I wasn't sitting on the ammo can or bucket watching the rod tip, I was on the bow chucking a jig, like just giving it everything I could.
That's something I'd probably try to do at night when they come a little bit shallower. You get one at like
Yeah,
300 feet. Just try to rig like a light,
I would think they'd be
or
more
get one of
effective
those
there.
vertical jigs that has the light built in. I bet that would be super effective at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I've wondered. I've got guys who've said like, "Would you consider fishing this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would consider it." I haven't pulled the trigger on one of the jigs with the lights in it. But you know, you see it like all the targeted social media ads. It's like for me, it's slow pitch jigging, and that's kind of it. And fishing on Instagram, and there's always this jig with that light. It looks like a diamond or a rhinestone. It's always blinking at you.
Yeah, I bet it would be super effective. I know if you don't got a light, you
I
don't
think
got a
so.
bite when it comes to tile fish and
Yeah.
deep drop in general. So I imagine it would be similar.
Yeah.
For tile fish, most of my tile fishing has really just been bait. And the secret bait for that we have found has been salmon bellies. It's just a really
Oh, cool.
excellent bait for them. Stays on the hook well. Of course, octopus, squid. Anytime I'm fishing really deep stuff, where it's really a haggle to pull it back up to the boat stuff, I really tend to go to like the hardiest bait I can. So if eels weren't so expensive, I'd chop those up and throw them on a hook. But those are exclusively for swordfish until a swordfish beats one up too bad to be on a swordfish rig. And then it'll go on
Yeah.
a deep drop rig. But octopus legs work excellent as well.
What do you think? Do you think it's the oil in the salmon and some of like the stench to it that makes it such a great
Yeah, I
tilefish
think
bait?
so. It's a really big up north
Yeah,
thing. I don't know if it's just availability to salmon due to like the market and stuff in New
sure.
Jersey, and like the bellies aren't really like a thing people eat. You can buy them a lot, get them easily. The
Yeah.
skin is really strong, so it stays on the hook really well. I mean, if I was a fish, I would eat it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here, like, and again, I love slow-pitch jigging, but I love fishing and I love killing fish, especially
I
bottom
highly
fish.
recommend it then, man. Get yourself some salmon bellies or
Yeah,
just some salmon from the store that has skin on and just cut it into some strips and
sure.
put that hook through it and get it through the skin. I really think it's gonna
I'll definitely try that. Like here, we use Spanish mackerel belly a lot for them, so kind of similar concept of what you're referencing. I've used bonita belly for them as well, but I find that for me, like a whole squid, like I'll use like the big like sword squids, and I'll clip them in half, and I'll pull it down the wing, and then I'll T-bone it over, and it's just hanging off the back. Presenting that with like a Spanish mackerel belly has been super productive for me. The other thing for tile fish, maybe it's a secret, maybe it's not. A lot of guys fish it straight up and down. You know, you got your 2, 3, or 5 hooks, and you got your stick lead on the bottom. The guy taught me back that fished the Norfolk Canyons growing up. You got the same rig. You got your light on your snap swivel. We add like a 14 or 16 ounce bank sinker to the snap, and it lays the hooks down. And as we're drifting, and because oftentimes we're getting bit on the bottom 2 hooks very commonly, they're coming out of the burrows, you drop it down and you can grab 5 at a time instead of 2 at a time. I think it's an old commercial trick from those guys up there. I know some guys that do it here
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
familiar with that trick as well. You're giving away some secret sauce
Yeah.
there. So if you people heard that, rewind and go back to it. That is a secret tip that we don't usually get from anglers. But if you put a second weight above your deep drop weights, you will get significantly more fish per time that you reel them up. I can assure you.
Yeah. if you find an article that's like "Man drowned from old commercial fisherman from Eastern Shore of Virginia," come looking for me.
You're just spilling the sauce. I warned you ahead of time.
Yeah.
He's like, the other thing is
Right.
my favorite color jig is this, and this is exact GPS coordinates that I go to. There's going to be a fleet out there doing
That's
the
right.
same stuff
Yeah.
as you. We already gave him the hint of the salmon
Yeah.
bellies. I'm telling you, like, you're a squid guy. Try the salmon
Perfect.
bellies next time. I'd go drop for drop with you anytime.
I'm gonna do it.
Like, go to
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have to
Harris
pick some
Teeter or
up.
something, just get a piece of salmon and cut it up. I really think that you're gonna change it up. Not only are those big swordfish squids extremely expensive, but sometimes they're hard to get a hold of, but you can find salmon at the store anytime.
Yeah.
And Walmart is a super cheap
Sure.
place to find it. Not that we're shouting out Walmart. We're not
Yeah.
sponsored by them, but if you want to sponsor us, Walmart, come on. we'll tell you.
Come on
Get us.
after it.
It's not in the bait department. It's in the actual seafood aisle department. It's people food, but it works tremendously well. And you can catch all different kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. I've caught everything from black sea bass on it all the way up to tilefish and groupers.
I'm sure you could sew a old 12-aught hook in there and swordfish would chew on it
Yeah,
too.
with sword fishing, we're exclusively eels. Like if we can get our hands on eels,
Okay.
like we are eels only because we're so tired of fishing on credit.
Yeah.
You have, for you guys that don't know what that means when you pull up your swordfish line and it's just a hook on there. And your swordfish, when you're daytime sword fishing, your line's down 1,500 feet. And it has anywhere from a 6 to a 10-pound weight. And you have a 150-foot leader from there to your bait. So a lot of times you cannot tell that a swordfish came and whacked off your bait and you have no bait on there. And since it's so far down, even with an electric reel, and especially if you don't have an electric reel, you're not checking that thing every 5 minutes. You're putting it down there, you're dropping it down for 30 minutes or so, bouncing off the bottom occasionally and giving it some action. But you're keeping it down there for an extended amount of time. And it always is just a heartbreaker when you pull it up and it's just an empty hook. And the best way that we have found is to go with eel. And if eel's not available, octopus legs. They swim perfect. You never have a spinner. With squids, you're always like kind of fighting it. They come off the hook easy. Sometimes they're spinners
Yeah.
because they get flat when they get frozen and you throw it down there. And a spinner, you might as well not even have one on the line. It's just
Yeah.
overall, an eel is the best bait you can get for swords just because they're so hardy. Like
Yeah.
oftentimes we're catching multiples with the same one.
Yeah, I'm sure. You said something too a minute ago, and for whatever reason, it just popped in my head. But you were talking about numbers and things like that. Like one of the biggest things I've learned, and this is just exclusive to me, is when I'm fishing a reef or a wreck, I rely on numbers, like a very specific spot, a barge, or a ship, or a taxi cab, or a submarine that's sunk. I have come to become a believer in fishing areas. We're fishing live bottom. Like we've got a lot of fan coral here off our coast in Charleston. A lot of lobster that a lot of people don't realize are out there. A lot of hogfish and stuff like that. I fish areas. To me, it will make you a better angler, and it will also give you an idea of the area you're fishing and what you may be able to harvest from there if you're covering more ground. The other thing I would say to that is anchoring, wonderful. Spot locking also can be great. I prefer to jig while drifting, just a personal preference. Now, there are days where I may complain that the current's rolling 5 knots and I can't get a jig down there, or I'm staying vertical for a pitch. But to me, on those days, you're probably not going to be able to anchor anyways, at least spot lock. I've found more success drifting because I may be fishing this spot right here, and 50 foot away in my drift, there's a spot that's twice as productive, and I never would have known it had I anchored. I have found that it's made me a better angler and a more experienced offshore bottom fisherman doing stuff like that. So I would encourage people, like, someone gives you an area or a number, don't be number specific. Go circle the area, do a figure eight, drift around, see what's there. Oftentimes, that exact number may not be exactly where you're going to mark the bottom that you think you're going to
I
mark.
agree 100%. A lot of times, like, we'll have a number and we'll be like, oh my gosh, like, we caught here before. This is the best place ever. It may be a day with a fast drift.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, you're like tired of moving the boat everywhere. And you're just like, I'm going to see this drift out. You find a number that's even better than the first
Yeah.
one. You're like, holy smokes, I wouldn't have known this was here. I'm a half mile away. This place is incredible.
Right.
And
Yeah,
Also, another thing
absolutely.
is depending on the current, it's also important to try different sides of the reefs or wrecks because the fish will get on the relief side to where they don't have to swim in the current and where the bait will push to
Hmm.
them and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of times that could be a game changer. Like you might be on an incoming tide, fishing one side of the reef, not really seeing that many fish, swap over to the other side, and it's just on fire, and you may have only moved 20 feet.
Yeah, when it comes to like dialing in bottom fishing, which I am actively still doing every trip, trying to learn, trying to be a better angler, trying to sharpen that knife, I 100% agree with you. The two, to me personally, most valuable things I've learned in the 4 plus years that I've been here and doing this are being able to read your sounder and getting an idea of what's actually down there, other than, oh, look at that, there's a hump with green haze and there's a red mark under it. Being able to decipher or discern what that is probably or may exactly be, being to me the number one skill for bottom fishing. And number two is understanding that like there is tide out there. Tide changes, the current changes, and you're exactly right. Like the fish will sit on the side where they have to do the least amount of work. Like we are fishing on the bottom for them because they're lazy and don't want to work for their meals. And so they are quite literally what they'll do, they'll sit here on one tide and then they'll swim right around to the other side. And if you stay over here, they're just going to sit over there the whole. You're never going to get a shot at them. And it is that small. Like we joke all the time, and I think there is some truth to it. Like 5 foot on the surface is 50 to 100 foot down low. If I move 5 foot, I can fish in whole extra area by the time I get to the bottom. And I think that little small changes and sharpening that knife every day and trying to learn more while you're out there is the best thing you can do. It makes you a better angler. There are many days that I have fished that we don't come home with a box full of fish. That's just part of the game. Like, I think you were very kind when we started, and you said I was an expert in jigging and bottom fishing, and I'd like to think one day I'll be there. But to me, the truth is, like, I'm trying to be every trip. And I think that's the most important thing. And, like, have fun. Learn something every single trip. Have fun. Get humbled. It's great for you. Fish one spot, and it's great on one tide, one current, one moon. You go back on the exact opposite and you pull up old goose egg. Super
And
humbling.
I also think it's important to mind your scope. So like you were saying, anytime
Yeah.
you're in deeper water than like 300 feet of water, your scope is significant. It may not look that far on the boat. Like it may look like it's only scoping out a foot by the time the line hits the water. But imagine that amplified over 2, 3, 400 feet of water. You might be spot locked over the wreck or the reef. Your line might be
Yep.
600 or 700 feet away from those fish. So being spot locked
Yeah.
directly over the reef might not be your spot. Like you might have to move your boat
No.
around or off entirely to be able to actually fish that structure.
100%. Like I think some of the things I learned, or have learned, and I'm still learning, is like that knowing how to anchor a boat may be one of the most valuable skills that like a charter captain or a commercial angler, or I hate putting people in a category, and that's not my intention here, but some of the old salts, they got the best skill in the world. Like now, a lot of us are, for lack of a better way to put it, spoiled by spot lock, and it's easy and it's convenient and it is wonderful. But if I spot lock right on top of it, to your point, and I'm fishing away from it, if I knew how to anchor and set stuff up like that, I'd spot lock above it and fish into it. And so I think that's another skill, and I learned that the hard way. I don't say that because I knew it coming in. I learned that the hard way
Yeah,
myself.
and especially the use of two anchors. Two anchors is just a game changer. Being able to do that
Yeah.
really positions your boat and makes sure you're there. When you're fishing really, really big structure, it's really important, guys, to get a reef anchor. Something you can just cut away because you don't want to lose like
Yeah.
an expensive anchor because nothing ruins a day like losing a $500 anchor. When you can go make one out of rebar, you can just hook directly into that reef and then just cut it away if you
Yeah.
can't get it off. That has no chain on it, so you're just losing some rope.
Yeah. 100% agree. Like, yeah, I think stuff like that is super important. Like understanding that positioning the boat is where it all starts. Like everything starts there when you're about to fish. It's not about, all right, let me get my tackle and let me get ready and let me get on the starboard side bow and my knees are locked into the rail and we're ready to go. Like if the boat's not positioned right, I promise you, sir or ma'am, you are not ready to go.
So usually people fall into one of two camps. Are you pro or against electric reels? And what electric reels do you like?
Man, personally, I'm against it just because of the style of fishing I'm doing. I also think that I am something of an idiot and I like pain. Like, I like grueling and sweating and I like my forearm locking up. For some reason, I got a sick addiction to it. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably love fishing the electrics. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we get some sharks coming around or some AJs, stuff like that. I'm not fooling with that. Like, you can put it in the corner and let them have it with the electric. Like, drop the 130, 150 pound hollow core with that wind on and eat their heart out. But now, when it comes to sword fishing, the little bit of sword fishing I've done, like when we're actively doing it, it's all electrics. I got no interest in trying to tangle with that beast hand crank, though I would like to at some point. I'm planning a trip to Venice next year and hoping to get a chance to hand crank on one down there next February or March.
Yeah, so call me a cheater if you will. I love electric reels. I use them anytime I can. I mean, I'd be a liar if I say that sometimes I'm getting burned out on amberjacks. I'll drop the LP down at 200 feet. Just throw heavy weight on, drop it down. One of the
Yeah,
electric reels that I found that a lot of people aren't familiar with is a Bannex Kagan 1000. Yeah,
they're
I
pretty
was in the
sweet.
market for an electric reel maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was going to get a Tanacom, and I came across these, and I rolled the dice on one. There wasn't really a lot of information about them out there, and I've been very happy with it. It's been a beast. It has tons of power, does everything. I would not use it for swordfish, but it holds tons of line. And I mean, if I happen to come across one, it'd be a bad day, I'm sure. I do like the fact that it does have a hand crank just in case, but
Yeah.
for everything else, this thing has not found a fish it couldn't master. But it also hasn't been
Yeah,
dropped
I
down for
have.
fish that it can't master. Like it's been dropped down specifically for
Yeah.
fish that I knew it could probably master.
That was
It
a
has caught a
disclaimer.
couple sharks and stuff, but I have not dropped it for swordfish with like a 10-pound weight, knowing I'm going for that. But like for tilefish and
Yeah.
for groupers and stuff like that, it's been tremendous. I got it from a company in Florida named Frigate Sales, and they've
Hmm.
been good. I haven't had to send it in for maintenance or anything. It's just been a beast. We're not sponsored by them or anybody. It's
Yeah.
just a brand that I use and like, and it's
Yeah.
worked out pretty good for me personally out of New Jersey, down here, and everywhere else.
Yeah, and I will say, like, all that stuff I said about, like, I don't personally really use them. Now, we always have them on the boat. Now, we've got two Shimano Beastmasters, and they get put to work every trip. I've definitely stood by it, jigging on one side, other arm free, like, all right, waiting for the bite. Let me hit the button. Like, I'm not above it one bit. All that stuff's great. I don't have any experience with the Kaigan. I've heard great things. I got a buddy that fishes out of like the Marco Island area, and they make the long runs through the Gulf, and he loves his. He swears by them. He's got a couple of them, and I think he's got some Daiwa Sea Powers, the step above like the Tanacom gear wise. And I think he prefers those Banaxes personally. I think he's decided that
I
he's
used
probably
to
gonna
live
stick
about
with
10
those.
miles north of there at Naples, and I used to fish out of there
Nice.
all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with that fishery as well. And what I can tell you is we also have a Beastmaster, and that did meet a fish it couldn't catch, but we also were dropping for fish
Yeah.
it could not catch, or it wasn't made to catch. But to be fair, we're
Yeah.
not putting that down. That reel is a beast, and that same fish I don't think an 80 wide would have caught easily either. Like that was an LP job or
Yeah.
a new Kobo electric reel. Shout out to those guys. Those guys are really doing some innovative stuff. That reel looks awesome. I can't wait to get out on a boat and see it in action. Michael over there was an excellent guest, and it definitely looks innovative. And anybody that takes the time to try to tackle that, like you just wake up one day and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make like the most advanced electric reel possible. It's just
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I have a buddy, my friend named Jamie, that I fish with pretty much exclusively outside of the CV, and he fished with the full hookups guys out of Beaufort, St. Helena, Beaufort area. Shane
Yeah, they
Hawkins,
have
and
one. I think they're
they do, yeah. And he was on the boat when they killed that 250, 270 pounder a couple weeks ago that was super
oh yeah.
angry. And I'm not going to get too deep into the story other than to say I know they darted it after about 2 hours in, and it took 15 pounds of drag on the Kobo reel and a polyball back down to 600 foot and fought for another hour and a half. Like those things are warriors, and that's the right reel for it.
Yeah, yeah, it's really crazy that they came up with the idea to have a reel that could be plugged into 24 or 12 volt power, and it just automatically
Very cool.
recognizes it. It does 90 pounds of cranking force at 24 volts. Insane. Pulls dredges, everything. We personally have an LP. That thing is also bulletproof.
Yeah.
And works excellent.
Yeah.
If we were in the market to get a new one, it would be a toss-up which one we would get.
I think it sounds, I have not used one personally, but from the people I know that have used them and listening to Michael on y'all's show, it sounds like it may be the most technical swordfish reel that
Yeah, it's
exists.
really crazy that
I mean, being able to adjust things like
and the
that
fact that it
and
adjusts
get, you
the
know,
drag based on how much line is on the
right.
spool is insane. That's insane. Shout out to you, Michael.
Exactly.
That thing
Yeah.
is crazy. Like you are onto something.
It's
I can't
impressive.
wait to see the other stuff that Gobo comes out with. Like if you're thinking of like
Yeah.
stuff that's so far next level, like the next stuff that you come out with is going to be even crazy.
Yeah, Michael, shameless plug here, but reach out to Mike Abel at Hadrils and let's try to work some out. I know you sell just to consumer, but if you're interested in retail, reach out to us in Charleston.
And also Fisherman's Headquarters, because Greg reached out to us about it also.
Perfect.
Everybody wants
wins.
those reels, Michael. Start putting the factory into high gear. They need them.
Yeah, we need you to start cranking them out without losing your quality of production.
Yeah, they're just such a good looking reel too. Like they're really spot on. He nailed it with those. I'm excited to see where they go. Yeah, but once again, going back to the Kagan, this thing has a jigging mode, which is really cool because you can just drop that jig down, hit a button, and you can control like how far and how fast it pulls it up and drops it down. So if you're a lazy angler like myself, these things will make your job way easier. You don't even have to jig the rod. It just automatically does that whole work for you. And then as soon as you hook it, you just flip it into gear and you're good to go.
Pretty impressive, like just where technology has gone, like in that small computer that is that reel, to be able to read that and spit it back to you on the fly like that. Like technology's rather
Oh yeah,
impressive.
and you can control like how fast it drops. It's got a star drag on it, so you can control the drag on the fly. It's really a really good reel, and like I said, it's just a plug for a company that I personally use. We're not involved with them at all. We would love to be, but we're not currently. Highly recommend them. It's lasted a long time for me, but a lot of the other reels that are similar have done the same thing. They're out there being used every day, or are really hammers out there, and people are loving them. So if you're somebody that's disabled or a lazy person or not lazy and just tired of cranking these heavy weights up and stuff like that, I highly recommend checking them out. If you're older, stuff like that. I have a nerve injury and it really helps me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we bring them every trip. To me, the versatility of it's also great. We use them to pull the teasers sometimes. We'll put them up on the bow out of the way, run them through the ring on the short rigger, and pull the teaser from there. I've even got a guy recently that we helped outfit some stuff through Hadrils Point Tackle in Charleston, and we got some sea sucker monkey bars, like a 48-inch bar with the sea sucker, and we upside down mounted two Tanacom 1200s, and they're shooting off the side on his HCB, and you can literally just sit there and just plug and play on them, and just having an electric reel, like realizing the versatility of it, I think is fantastic. Like pull teasers, pull small dredges, depending on what reel it is. I even prototype tested the Pin Fathom electric over the last year or two, and we were pulling cedar plugs.
We're trying to get the guys from
we were pulling cedar plugs.
We're trying to get the guys from Pure Fishing on here. We'd love to talk to Penn.
Man, they're great. I'd be happy to reach out to some guys that I know personally. They just opened a showroom for some of their vendors here in Charleston too, so they've got a presence in Charleston now, which is great.
We'd love to go down there and take some videos and stuff with them.
Yeah, they're the people I know at Pure are all great people. Again, I've been very fortunate not only to get opportunities to fish and learn, but being involved in the fishing industry. I owe a lot to Mike Abel for what he's done for me here since I moved here. I come from a financial background, the opposite of fishing, but I've really found a home here and a love for like our industry.
Speaking of great people, Mike Abel, it's harder to find a better guy and a more helpful guy. Whether you guys in Charleston, South Carolina know it or not, or listen to our podcast with Hadrels, Mike has helped you. He goes to battle for fishermen and conservation in South Carolina. He's at the meetings. He's fighting for our rights to keep the sport alive and keep it alive for generations. Really important to support these local tackle shops, man, because they're just a wealth of knowledge. Jake included. You can reach out to Hadrels, even if you don't live in the area. You can ask Jake questions, you can ask Mike questions, all the other great guys. They can tell you exactly what they suggest based on where you're fishing, what you're fishing for. They're guys that use the stuff and they can make recommendations. You can purchase it from them online. Well, from them over the phone, they can ship it to you. You can go into the
Yeah.
stores. They have a Mount Pleasant location as well as a West Ashley location. Absolutely excellent people. What is a good phone number they can reach you at there?
Sure. So the shop number there, I work in the West Ashley store for Mike, and the phone number there is 843-573-3474. You want to come in the store, I'd happily share my cell number. A lot of people reach out all the time. I'll try to remember to put your name in there and not forget who you are. To your point, like we don't have like an online presence at the moment for ordering, but we send a lot of stuff. I ship stuff to Savannah once every 2 months to a Viking that we cater to down there. I just sent stuff to Shane on full hookups today down in St. Helena, down in Beaufort. So we are more than willing to work with people far and wide. Where a couple years ago there was like a shortage of some Nomad plugs, like the Mad Max and the Mad Scad,
Oh,
the
yeah. I was
lipless
lucky to
plugs.
get ahead of that one and buy a whole ton of them before it happened.
Yeah, a guy from a marina in San Diego called me at the store and was like, dude, I got nothing. Can you send some? And we worked with them and sent them part of our inventory. Obviously, they paid for it, but being able to send and help people out, like, I think that's how Mike's built the business. I think that's how his parents, his mother and father built the business. And I think that that's admirable that he and they're able to carry that on to this day. So I think that's what helps it stand
Absolutely
out.
excellent people. They have all the
Yeah.
bait that you need as well. They have swordfish baits. We get a lot of our eels and pre-rigged stuff there. They have live bait for you inshore guys. They have squid, shrimp, everything there, as well as if you need stuff expertly rigged. Like if you're going trolling and stuff like that, using hollow core, you need to make sure that your stuff is top notch because the last thing you want to do is to go spend $500 or $1,000 or more in fuel, get out to the fishing grounds and be unprepared because that fish of a lifetime is going to hit the weakest rod on your boat every time. Like if you have the kind of luck that I do and you have one rod that's like, this might
Yeah.
be some old braid, that's the one that's getting the marlin. Like it's never like, oh, I just got this rod respooled. It's got a brand new 80 wide. It's got a brand new rod. That's never the rod that gets hit with the big fish. It's always like if we're trolling 250s, 280s, 330s, and a 25. The 25's getting hit every time.
Always. We have this joke that's not a reality, but we always joke. We're like, you're not allowed to put the 30s out or the 25s out until the 50s soak in the water for 10 minutes. And if they don't get bit, then you can put everything out. To try and avoid exactly what you're saying, like, and that never works. Even if you wait 10 minutes, the second that dink bait hits the water on that 30, it's
Oh
getting
yeah,
chewed.
and it's always by something huge, and it doesn't matter what bait's on it. Like I almost think like run the biggest thing we got on the 30 in hopes that it hits something else.
Yeah, maybe some role
Yeah, like
reversal
maybe it'll
there.
hit a cedar plug on an 80 wide, but yeah, so far it's always
Never
like,
know.
oh, or someone will just be like dangling a bait over the side with like a spinner or something, and that gets the tuna or something. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like it's just crazy.
Well, if you ask our buddy Chase, he would probably need to pull the cedar plug on an 80 wide because he's probably going to pull it out of Savannah,
Oh,
Georgia.
Chase pulls all cedar plugs, so all of them are on all of those rods. Like those guys are high speed trolling for
Yeah,
wahoo on cedar plugs. They're deep dropping with cedar plugs.
yeah,
The only thing I think they haven't caught on cedar plugs is swordfish.
yeah. I mean, I've seen him around like the outcrop, and his cedar plug was still back at the rock pile on the Edisto Banks. Yeah, watch out for that guy.
We made a funny video with Chase and a moment of silence for Chase. He recently moved to Oklahoma. Well, we made a video. We made a video recently with Chase, and we were coming out of Shem Creek on their Viking, and Chase was just tightening up a line on one of the reels, and he threw a Nomad out in Shem Creek, and I videotaped it. And we threw it out there. It got like 40,000 views in like a day and a half. It was insane. It was
Yeah,
so funny. It was like, don't overrun the fishing grounds. They're way closer than what you think.
yeah. If you want to catch a plastic boat or a kayak or a paddleboard, be careful,
Oh,
Chase.
yeah. Yeah. Those guys fish a lot. Shout out to Lance and Chase. Lance, fishflagsusa.com. They make the finest fish flags in the land. And Chase, the captain of Last Cast Charleston. He is coming back to do some trips. If you're looking to go out, have an excellent time with a guy that catches fish, highly recommend you reach out to these guys at Last Cast. You're going to be hard pressed to find a better time out on the water in Charleston than them. Now, if you're looking for a really good time and you're up north, John Azzato has open dates on No Limit. That guy slays tuna. He is just a tuna magnet, and there's no finer big eye fisherman in the land except for Dante, the owner of Magic Tail, who also fishes with John Azzato. That guy just nails fish. He's got a couple open dates open this summer. Go to No Limits Fishing on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or hit him up, John Azzato, on Facebook. I'm telling you, Ivan came back on his boat with less than 1,000 pounds of fish total yet. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it's literally been over 1,000 pounds of fish caught on that boat every single trip that I've been out. It's insane. It's not a head boat. It's six guests. So, what's your next trip you're going out on?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually getting ready to head back home to the Chesapeake for the fall next week coming up. Kind of unfortunate with the weather that's coming in. I tried to talk the fiance into maybe pushing it a week, but my mother and father might disown me if that were to happen. But we're gonna go up there. I'll chase around some cobia with my dad and do a little sheep's head fishing, maybe some backwater like trout, flounder, red fishing back there in some of the marshes on the eastern shore. As soon as we get back, the owner of the CV will be in town, and we're probably going to hit it pretty hard. Just started taking care of another boat for a guy, a 32-foot cobia here in town, and he's really jacked up and fired up. Wants to go maybe try to catch a billfish. Loves fishing, fishy guy. Wants to get into some grouper fishing and some deep drop fishing. So we'll get into a few trips after that. For whatever reason, I've had some blinders on. Getting married next year, and we've been planning this Venice trip, my buddies and I, and it is all I can kind of see right now. I've been seeing red just about going down there, chasing some yellowfin tuna, doing some deep dropping. But as soon as the weather window opens, when I'm back from the Chesapeake, we'll be on the
So,
water.
while you're up there, that's actually where John Azzato goes out from, Lewes, Delaware. I can hook you guys up if you want. We can talk after the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to get in touch with him at some point. I'd love to fish with him, meet him, see what he's all about. I've heard his name. It's
Yeah,
No
No
Limits, right?
Limits. He 2
Yeah.
years ago, I believe, won the tuna category of the White Marlin Open. Last year, he placed in it as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
excellent guy.
I can't believe he beat out Michael and
No,
them on the
not last year. He
MJs.
didn't. He did.
Okay,
He
gotcha.
did prior to them coming in. Like, he was the boat before them, and they're like, "Oh,
I
John
was like,
Azzato," and then MJ's came in. But
oh, and then Yako was like, yeah, that's enough now.
yeah, those MJ's guys are something different, man. Dante is just a slayer. I don't
Yeah,
know
they're
if he's
hammers, man.
more lucky or good, but he's both. And
That's all. They're all the
yeah,
same. We just like to
and
think they're different.
that's the best part about his company. Shameless plug for Magic Tail Outfitters is that he makes these lures for him, and then he releases them to the public. So these are the exact same things that he's fishing. So he's designing this stuff for them. They're constantly winning tournaments all over the world. Like, I mean, they just came from cleaning up in the Bahamas. They were at the Big Rock. Now they're going to the White Marlin Open, Mid Atlantic, all these other tournaments, top contenders. And it's for a reason, because they have their own gear that they're designing and adjusting and making for it, and then selling that same gear to people. Like, you can just go buy it. You can go to magictailoutfitters.com or Joe Shoot Lures, he owns them both, and order the stuff. If you go to magictailoutfitters.com, use code Deepwater Legends, one word, all capital letters, you'll get 15% off your order of 50 or more. And if you have questions about the stuff, feel free to reach out to him, shoot us an email or a call. We're happy to talk to you about colors, sizes, weights, whether you want keel weighted, not keel weighted, what size hooks you want to run. We're happy to answer any questions you guys have. We're super available. We love talking about fishing. We don't love to just talk about it with our wonderful guests, but we love to talk about it with the people that listen to us. We're here to support you. The whole reason we started this show is because we got tired of seeing people ask questions on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and they just want to go catch some fish. And people just roast them on social media accounts. And it's just such a toxic. And as people who are professional anglers and former professional anglers and people who are out there all the time and actually know like what it takes to catch these fish, like, it's very unappealing, because I see big picture. We want the most people involved in the sport that we can, because the Like if it starts dying away, our rights are going to be stripped away as anglers. We want this to be around for generations. Fishing is incredibly expensive, it's incredibly time consuming, and we want as many people to enjoy the hobby as possible. And if we can give you some knowledge, it's going to go out and get you some fish on a trip, and you get to take some pictures with your kids, and you have a nice big fish in your picture and you're proud, like, then we did our job. Like, that's what I love the most. I've caught many lifetimes worth of fish. I don't care about reeling fish anymore. I love going fishing. I like driving the boat and getting people on their first or their biggest or an additional one or species they never caught. And I love helping you guys on the internet. And that's the whole reason we do this. So certainly feel free to reach out to us. We're super available. We're not going to roast you. We're going to help you as much as we can. And if it's not a subject that we're experts in, or we know somebody that is better versed than ourselves, like, we're going to get you in touch with them. And our guests are just the same. Like, Jake is super available at Hatterell's. If you have a question, reach out to him. Reach out to Mike at Hatterell's. Like, if you want to get rods, or say you hear about jigging and you're like, I want to get into this, Jake's the guy to talk to. He's going to lead you in the right direction. He's going to tell you what to get, what he would use, depending on your budget. Like, jumping into it, if you were to suggest like a budget setup and a medium setup and a high end setup for slow pitch jigging, what would you suggest?
So I would say like it's going to be hard to beat like a Shimano Torium 14 HG or a 16 PG. It's going to give you a longer crank arm, banana clip style handle. It's going to come in at like 250, 260 bucks on the reel. It's going to be a star drag, composite style frame, not full metal, which is not the end of the world. You're not trolling, taking on big shock of 50, 60 pound fish going 40 mile an hour one direction. But yeah, Shimano Torium in that price point, and I'd look at something like a Shimano grappler style rod. It's going to come in at like 270, 280 bucks. Those are two really, really great options. On the higher end, I would look at the Shimano Oshia Jigger. We carry some other reels in the shop as well that are compatible, like a Daiwa Saltiga 35JH is a great reel. In fact, a mutual friend of ours, Alex, has a couple LD55s that he uses that he bought for me a year ago. Those are great reels. A little bit, those two reels are going to be on the higher end budget. They're going to be $540 to $600 for the reel itself. And I'd look at something like a Saltiga slow pitch rod, like an SLTG, like JS. There's a
Like
bunch of item
this
codes I
one
can list
right
out for you.
here.
Uh,
And if
yeah.
you're
Or look at like a Shimano game type rod. And those rods are each going to come in like 400 to
and if you
500
are a
bucks.
spin rod person and budget is no option, the Stella is the finest reel in the land. All the other reels are just as good. Well, all the other reels on the same spectrum. The Twin Power's an excellent reel. The Saltiga is a good reel. There's tons of good
Yeah.
stuff out there. You don't have to spend $1,000 on a reel to go do this stuff. Like, I mean, you can, and those reels are awesome. They're butter smooth. You will not be sad. They'll hold up for a long time. You can crank big fish, but you can catch plenty big fish with any of the other stuff as well, like a Stratic. I have a Stratic as well. It's caught plenty of fish on it. It's lasted a long time. It's just important to get quality gear. I know Quantum came out with the new saltwater line. Greg from Fisherman's Headquarters was on. He gave us a rundown on the new Quantum stuff. Those guys used to kill it back in the day with pretty affordable saltwater gear that's been tried and true. And they came back out with new stuff, and he swears by it and says it's pretty good stuff. It's affordable, good entry level spin reels to get into it. So certainly don't feel afraid to get into a new sport with this. I know anytime you think of sport fishing, you just think of like, oh, bust out another 1,000. This is gonna hurt my pockets. But certainly you can get out there and try the stuff with anything. Like, of course, it's better when you have specifically made gear for what you're doing, but just try grabbing some jigs and going out there and doing it. Like, you already have
Yeah.
spin reels, you already have spin rods. It'd be much harder with a traditional conventional reel and rod than it would with like a spin reel and rod, I believe. Would you say the same, Jake?
Yeah, it requires a little bit more technique, like laying the line back on the reel appropriately, avoiding backlash. The spinning gear is definitely a lot more user friendly up front. There's no doubt about it. The other thing I would say too, you were touching on, I agree. Like you can do a lot with a little, 100%. I also think if you get very technical about slow pitch jigging, like a guy told me when I got into it, he was like, you can't play the banjo with the drums. Like you got to get the banjo. And I was like, I don't understand, but I'll follow whatever you say. And so there does come a point, like, because it is such a specialized or technique specific thing, at some point you gotta kind of dive in. But I 100% agree. Like, I love slow pitch jigging and I love everything to do with it. But any kind of jigging, any vertical jigging, slow pitch jigging, bottom fishing and soaking chicken rigs, like, I'm in the business of catching fish and trying to create memories for myself, my buddies, my family, friends. Like you said earlier, like people catching their first fish, people catching their personal best fish, things like that. To me, those memories with some of my closest friends and family, those are the most special things that I cherish and will hold on to. So you can do it with anything you want, 100%. And yeah, spinning gear certainly a lot easier to use up front. And you can get into spinning gear a lot cheaper than conventional gear. Gears, the physical gears in the reel are a lot smaller, not as much machine work, stuff like that. So it's budget friendly, but it is very effective, and you can really hammer some fish
And
with
as long
spinning
as you have
tackle.
braided line, I would say that's probably the most important thing is braided line. I know that this pen I
Yep.
got at Hatterell's about 2 years ago. I think it was about $300 or so. It was not expensive in comparison to the Saltiga and the Stella. And it works perfectly fine. It's caught fish in Florida. It's caught fish here in New Jersey, everywhere up and down the coast. The biggest thing is just getting out there and trying this stuff. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with just going and buying some jigs and going out and trying different stuff. What I would say is just get jigs that are heavy enough because if you get 80-gram jigs, you're not going to be able to drop them deep. Like, I would say it's safer to
Yeah.
go with heavier jigs in shallower water than it is to drop like lighter jigs in deeper water.
Yeah, 100%. The goal, I mean, you gotta, if you want to target demersal species, and if let's stick to grouper specific for this point, like like I said earlier, they're lazy and they're laying in the bottom in holes and rocks, maybe sometimes cruising from one hole to the other, point A to point B. If you want to catch them, you gotta fish where they're at, and if you can't get to the bottom, you're shooting yourself in the foot. There's a crack in the foundation from the beginning, and it's just, you got to plan, you got to have an idea, you got to prepare. And to me, all that starts the night before. But I agree, like, if you're worried about it, go heavier. Ensure that you can get to the bottom instead of
Like, I
wondering.
would say our smallest jig that I generally use is like 180 grams, no matter where I am, unless I'm like
Mhm.
inshore or somewhere extremely shallow. But like, generally, I
Yeah,
would never use like an 80 or 60-gram jig. I always go
yeah,
for bigger and heavier just because of the drift or the scope and just being able to get down. The 230s are really good. This is a 180, but the 230s are really good medium size that like you can fish in a large general area from like 80 feet to maybe 300 feet and really have a
yeah,
good fighting chance of getting these fish. The biggest thing is just having a reel that has braid on it, putting a leader on. Usually, we're not using as long as leaders as you are. I think after this meeting, I'm going to step it up a little bit and do a little bit longer of a leader because I'm
yeah,
not specifically a vertical jig master, but we have really good luck with like 4 or 5 foot leaders. Sometimes we'll go as long as like 8 or
yeah,
9 feet. Um, but it's certainly going longer doesn't hurt. A lot of times I'm doing it on spin reels and I'll cut the jigs off and I'll
yeah,
throw a popper on. So trying to cast with like that long of a leader is a pain in the butt. So that's usually why we do a smaller leader in general. But with these specific rods set up, certainly going to start going with the longer leader, like you said. Are you using an FG knot or?
yeah. So you can use an FG knot. I suck at tying the FG knot, so I do not tie it. I use what's called a PR knot. And that requires a bobbin tool, made popular like many knots in the fly fishing world. But that is the PR knot there. Don't know how well you can see it or not see it. It looks a lot like the FG knot. I would describe the biggest difference being it is an FG knot, but what I'm doing is racking this braid onto a bobbin tool, which, if you're not familiar, is basically a reel. And so I can adjust the drag on that to lock it very tightly, keep it locked tightly as I spin it off. And so it's applying more pressure, getting you a tighter bite and a tighter weave. So it's just a little more secure, something that I don't want to cut my hands up doing, holding that much pressure on the braid. It's a lot thinner. I used it both casting and jigging. So like casting poppers, casting stick baits for tuna. I've even started using it inshore for plastics. I like redfish, throw in like Z-Man soft plastics for redfish and speckled trout, all that kind of stuff. I've become a big fan of the PR knot
I use
specifically.
a lot of the FG knot. I know probably unpopular opinion, but I love the Alberto.
No, I love the Alberto. I just can't get it through these micro guides on the slow
Yeah.
pitch
Yeah,
rods.
that's the toughest thing with
Yeah,
these micro guides. Like, I don't know if you guys can see this, but how small those really are. Like, they're just
yeah,
tiny. So it's really important to
yeah.
have a really tight knot to get through there, which is another reason
Yeah,
why
if
we
you
use
listen to this
shorter
after, and
leaders.
yeah, if you listen to this and you want to look it up after, like I was mentioning earlier, like my stripper or runner guide, the very first guide that comes in contact with the line is a size 6, and everything from there is smaller. And so if you want to look at a size like 4 or 5, like Fuji K guide, that's a good reference of like most of the guides that are down the blank on the rod. They're pretty small. Like size 4 or 5 may not sound small. You look up an image of it or you go physically, come see me in the store. Like I'll show you like a size 4 like Fuji K guide. It's pretty
Yeah,
tiny.
and I highly recommend checking out their store. They have everything. Like Hatterell's literally could outfit you for everything from marlin fishing all the way down to sea trout, freshwater stuff. Like these guys have everything there. Like they're loaded up to the gills. Like they have every like marlin plug you could ever need. They have teasers and dredges and you name it, reels and rods, and just absolutely everything. It's our go-to place locally.
Yeah, I mean, we do. We carry a lot of stuff. Sure, Mike can speak way more to this than I can, and there are times it becomes hard to carry everything. Like I wish we could carry everything. I think that Mike does a great job curating for our audience, our clientele here in the local area, and then also finding. I think he does a great job finding things and trying to be a little bit ahead of like the curve. Like Mike has done a great job. Like he's spends a lot of time in the community, like going to the marinas, checking in with guys, seeing what's new, what do they like, what do they want to try, and he will actively try to get it in the store. And I think that that is something that customers appreciate and separates us. Where it's like they'll come in the store and they see something, and they're like, when did you start carrying this? Like, I've been looking for this. I heard it's all the rage. And so trying to be ahead of stuff like that, I think is kind of the next step that Mike's been turning up a notch in the number of years that I've been there. No, it's nice. Again, I'm very fortunate to work there and the access to the industry and our fishery here and the incredible people in our industry here in Charleston. I've made lifelong friends that I've known for four
And one thing
years.
Mike has to look ahead on is people are loving these Magic Tail Outfitter rods and tackle. These things just slay everywhere. I know you have a couple of the rods, and we've been
Yeah.
using them way before we've been working with them, and they're just tremendous. They last forever. The rods, especially, as well as the Who Magic heads, you just can't beat them. They're great price, great quality, great product that's made by tournament winning guys for themselves and then they just sell it. So it's like the same stuff that they're using. That's the coolest thing about fishing in general is that like you can use the same stuff the pros use. Like you can just go out and buy it and you can fish the same areas that they fish and all of that stuff. Like there's really no like disconnect. It's not like, oh, this is something special that only this team can use. Like you can use anything that's available.
Yeah, to me, I agree with you. Like the access to things within the industry is one of the things that makes it so special. I'm like you said, anyone can get it. Now, anyone might not use it the same way, which to me is the other special thing about the industry is there's so many ways to like everything that I've said tonight. Someone might listen and be like, "I've never tried that. I'm never going to," and I bet they crush the fish. And to me, that's something that I love. Is that it's like everything about fishing is so personal and everything you do in your preparation is personal to yourself, and most people whack fish in all different kinds of ways, and that's what I love. Like I love knowledge, and my parents raised me with the each one teach one attitude. Like no need to take it with you, try to teach somebody else, try to learn, be open minded. And I think that that's something that I have enjoyed in our fishery here. Like most guys are very open and most guys will help and are willing to discuss like, hey, let me teach you this. Hey, come down and check this out. Hey, what do you think about this? Our community here in Charleston is fantastic, and I can only hope that it's like that in other
Yeah,
places as
and we
well.
always give the disclaimer it's not this is the way, this is our way. This is how we found for it to
Yeah.
work the best for us. because there's going to be a million people on the internet that are like, that's not how it's done. It's done like this. And it's like,
Yeah.
we're just giving it to you how we do it. Like, we've been doing it for a long time.
Right.
We're pretty successful at it. Like, this is how I use it. Sure, you can
Yeah.
tie a vertical jig on each end of the jig, but that's not necessarily how we
Yeah.
do it.
Right. 100% agree. That's one of the top questions I get is, where do you tie this? And I'm like, well, this is where I tie it, but you could probably, and they're like, well, I tied it on the other side and I was like knocking the snot out of the gags. And I'm like, I bet you were. Like, it can be super effective in all kinds of
Oh,
ways.
yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as you're out there fishing, that's all that matters. Like, you'll always have those people
Yeah,
that are
100%.
out there doing something crazy and it's working for them. And hey, we want to talk to you too. We want to find out if you're doing something crazy or
Yeah.
untraditional or pulling a marlin plug backwards and it's working. Let us know because we want to learn it all. Like, I always joke and say that
Yeah. I mean,
we do this show for us and get the questions answered that we want to have, and we're just thankful that other people have the same questions. But ultimately, we really do it for our listeners. We know a lot of these answers, and we are out there fishing a lot of the same areas and doing the stuff. But ultimately, it's such a privilege to be able to talk to you and all of our other great guests and find out all this information, because from every guest, we're learning like, hey, like they're doing this, like let's go try this, and let's go see this area, and
yeah.
let's adjust our depth finder like this so we can try to find that. And ultimately, it's making us better anglers too. And a lot of our guests are learning stuff that we're doing. And it's just been great overall. Lastly, I guess, what kind of assist hooks are you using? I know a lot of guys are
Sure.
privy
Yeah.
to a certain brand or style. They're changing them out from their jigs, or they're buying jigs that
Yeah.
don't have assist hooks on them. Do you have a particular brand that you
Right.
recommend, or a size, or anything like that?
Think the size is always going to be dependent on the size of the jig. The actual hook itself, I really like. There's a company called Van Fook. They make fantastic hooks. I have in the last year started dabbling with tying some of my own assist hooks. They don't look pretty, but they're effective. And to me, that's become kind of an addiction. I would equate it to like tying your own flies, which I've never dabbled in, but doing something like that and the satisfaction or gratification of seeing it catch fish and truthfully just not fall apart on you is kind of special. Just like your crimp not coming loose on a big blue marlin, it always makes you feel good. But I would say on some of the bigger jigs, like the 420-gram jigs, I'm fishing like 5 or 7 O's. This is an owner hook here specifically, with a piece of like 200 pound, or it's 250 pound hollow core, and a piece of shrink tube here on it. You got a solid ring attached to the hollow core here and your split ring up top. So the split ring is what I am going to attach my ball bearing swivel to from my main line. And so when I'm riding out with just hooks like this on the rod, and then I'm clipping in whatever jig I need based on size. Pair of split ring pliers, pretty invaluable tool. These are Toits. Happen to absolutely love them. A little bit on the pricier end, but it's, you're going to do this. You're gonna spend $20 on a piece of lead. I'd hope you could spend 50 to 60 on a piece of individual split ring pliers. The other thing I'll say too, and it's a common thing, I fish a lot of naked hooks, just hooks, and I fish a lot of singles. Again, a lot of my time is spent deeper, so less drag in the water, more secure hook sets on fish, no foul hooked fish in the side of the face or the belly. It's super effective. I don't fish a lot of what we call frou-frou, like a bunch of the stuff on the back of the hooks or like a squid skirt. They're super effective, especially in shallower water, like inside 300 foot. I'll fish twin hooks with frou-frou and squids all over them. Less drag in the water. Again, staying vertical is so important. And when I'm pushing out to 600 to 900 foot, even if this stuff on the back of that hook pushes it an extra 10 foot, that's an extra 10 foot of line in contact that I no longer have with the jig. And so, brand of hooks, I like some Mustad hooks, some owner hooks. Those Van Fooks are what I've been tying for me, myself personally. I really, really do like them. Very, very sticky hooks. BKK makes a great hook, actually. They make all of the hooks that Nomad Design Tackle uses on their jigs. They're one of the oldest hook manufacturers in the world, and they hand grind all their hooks, which is kind of a cool thing. Not chemically done, so they hold their strength through the tip or through the edge. A good and a bad to that. Some people think the hooks are too thick or too bulky. I think I can get a hook set tough enough to make it stick. So those are another great pair of hooks and great company that make great hooks are
We love
BKK.
BKK hooks as well as Nomad
Yeah.
Tackle. Their lures, especially their GTX, is so hard to beat.
Yeah.
Like, we do a lot of wahoo fishing, and those things just kill it.
Yeah, they crushed the wahoo. We caught um I mean, we caught a football of a blackfin tuna on the 220 DTX, which is a big 50-foot diver. And I was just, I mean, I was shocked. A tuna any smaller, I was like, it's got to be a huge tuna. No little tuna is going to hit this. It ended up being like a 25 to 28 pound tuna blackfin, which is a sizable blackfin. But I had a buddy last year that for I think they were just living right, but they landed 2 sailfish in the same day on a DTX minnow on single hooks, and it catches a lot of fish for sure. It's a big old bass crankbait. It's really all it is
Oh
for those
yeah,
wondering.
I've caught a mako shark on one. I've caught tons
Yeah,
of yellowfin tuna. We've caught mahi mahi. We've caught everything. The 220 is a beast. I love that thing. Another really good lure
yeah,
that's similar is the bomber. You have to swap the hooks out if you're going for
yeah.
big fish. We caught a really big eye on one of those on No Limit, and those things
Okay.
just swim so good. It's hard to beat either a bomber or a
Yeah,
DTX.
yeah. Any of those diver
Oh,
plugs are
yeah.
great.
Yeah, we always have one in the spread. The only time that's not great is when you have to reel it into clear weeds.
That sucks when it's like a 50-pound block of concrete. It feels like you're pulling
Yeah,
up.
yeah, and anytime it's about to
Yeah,
break the surf, it's like, cut the boat for a second. Let me pop this out of the water.
yeah. If not, you're gonna take somebody's head
Yeah, and it's
off.
always important to give the rules of the road. It's like if someone's reeling in DTX and you see something flying through the air, don't try to catch it because those BKK hooks will
Nah,
hook you.
let
We
it
actually
go,
have a
man.
video
Just let it go.
on our YouTube of us cutting one of those hooks out of somebody's leg on a boat.
Mm.
Like we were out there fishing and one popped out of the water and it ended up catching a dude in the leg and through his shorts and they had to cut it with a pair of pliers and pop the hook out. Those hooks are sharp.
Yeah, sticky hooks for sure. One quick thing I just wanted to discuss before I know you
Oh
said
no,
kind
we
of
can
wrapping
talk
up
about as
here.
much as you
I did
want.
just,
I just didn't know we can cover
I
anything you
got you.
want.
Yeah, I did want to just, as a last kind of point of order, I guess, kind of to bring it all together. I know a lot of people, myself included, have opinions about some of our regulations here, especially when it comes to our bottom fish, being our American red snapper, our gag groupers, all of our grouper species, really a lot of the demersal stuff. I don't necessarily agree with all of the regulations for sure. All I do know is if you do want to attempt to hope to make a little drop of water a difference in that bucket. The SAFMC has a recreational angler program through SciFish, which is an app where you can log your catches. So if you're not familiar, commercial and recreational or commercial and for hire charter fishermen are required to report their catches. Recreational anglers are not. So by and large, a lot of the regulations are based off of an equation multiplied by the number of recreational anglers that quote exist. And so it's an inaccurate data point just by nature. This program is allowing recreational anglers to catch photo release, catch photo harvest should they be in season, and report data to try to give data to them to try and help our regulations and help some of these amendments that are coming down the pike. It's open to all people of the public. I would encourage you, like if you are interested and if you want to make that extra time to click that photo and go on the app when you get back or while you're out there and upload that stuff. It's made a huge difference for me. I've learned a lot about the science. I've been working with them for almost 2 years now. They are a great organization, though I think some of their regulations are off base or miss the mark. I will say that I think the overwhelming goal is that outside of public perception, they are trying to obtain more data to make it fair for people. And albeit for us, I think it's important if you got the time and you're willing to do it, I encourage you to be a part of the citizen science program through the SAFMC, that being the South Atlanta Fisheries Management. You're welcome to reach out to me. You can reach out to them directly. I would be happy to speak on it. It's again, I think it's going to help move that needle for us recreational anglers.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really important to get involved. Like I said, we all want this sport to be around for generations and so our grandkids and their kids can enjoy the sport and less people than ever are fishing and we want to make sure that people are out there enjoying the hobby that we love and get as many people excited about this as we can. So these rights aren't stripped from us. So it's very important to get involved to any
Yeah.
capacity that you can and if that capacity is just getting out there and enjoying the sport, do it. Get as many people involved as you can. We love you. We're thankful for you guys listening in to us and tuning in and hearing all of our great guests. And please support your local tackle shops. Please support the people that push back and support you, because they're going to these meetings, they're meeting with the government, they're fighting for our rights and our regulations, and really making it a better place for us. It's hard out there with all these internet salespeople, and it's just important to shop local no matter where you are, because who's going to sponsor your kid's soccer team? It's not going to be Amazon.
Very true.
And we're thankful for you coming on, Jake. We appreciate your insight to bottom fishing and vertical jigging and slow pitch jigging. It's great to hear it. We also are complete addicts at it. If you guys never have done it, we highly suggest it. At minimum, go pick up a couple jigs, drop them down on some spin rods and reels, even if they're not specifically made for it. I can guarantee you, after you do, you're going to go get a rod and reel made for it, because it is addicting. Once you do it once, you're going to always want to do it. And it's just an incredible way to fish. Like, I know guys that are giving up trolling to just go jig and pop all the time.
Yeah, it's fun. It's interactive. There's a lot
You
going
don't smell
on,
like
and
bait.
like Nate was saying, yeah, you don't smell like bait. That's the other thing. You don't spend money on the bait. You don't smell like the bait. It's a little bit cleaner.
It's a lot more expensive, though. You have to go buy a bunch of vertical jigs. I know every time
It's a
we
lot
go
more
jigging,
expensive.
we burn through probably 10 or 15 because of those dang sharks.
Yeah, yeah. Like Nate said, like come by one of the shops, or if you want to get them online, get them wherever you want to get them. But grab a couple jigs, fish it on what you've got, and see if you like it. It's a fun way to target fish for all ages, and all experiences levels of
And if you
anglers
do
as well.
like jigging, give us a shout out. Tell us what side you tie the line to, how you do it. If we're doing it wrong, let us know. We'll try it your way too. Like, we don't know everything. We want to
Yeah.
learn as much as we can. We think that we do it the correct way. It works this way. But if you have some other way and you're using a bobber or you're using mono line or something and it's working for you, let us know. Like, we want to know. And reach out to us.
I want to hear the
Yeah.
bobber
If
theory.
you've never done vertical jigging and it's something that you go out and try and it works for you and you love it, let us know that too. Because we're excited that you're getting excited about fishing. You're listening to this stuff. You're getting involved. We do this for you guys. We love all you guys. We love all you guys up and down the coast. We love you bass guys. We see a growing population in the Midwest. We're excited to bring some bass fishing content to you. We have professional angler coming up in a couple weeks and another one after that. We have some exciting guests. We're getting involved with the MLF. The episode before this is actually with the MLF vice president, and we're bringing as much fishing content to you guys as possible that's relevant. We have some guys coming from Australia here soon, and they're doing some innovative stuff with marlin lures. We're very excited to get people in other countries involved. We currently have listeners in about 10 countries, almost every state in America. We love growing this thing. We want to hear from you guys. We want to deliver whatever you want to know. Reach out to us. Let us know who you want on the show, what kind of topics you want on the show. We'll bring it to you. You want fly fishing for trout? We'll do it. We'll reach out to someone. We'll get somebody. You want swordfish? We'll do that. We'll do anything that you guys want, because you guys are important to us. We love you. We want to bring content to everybody. If you have questions about fishing, reach out to us with them. If we don't know the answer, we'll find you somebody that does. We'll deliver that answer to you. We're doing this for you guys. Thank you again, Jake. This is Jake from Hatterells. You can reach Hatterells at this phone number. Go ahead, Jake.
474 for the West Ashley location, or our Mount Pleasant store is 843-881-3644. Nate, Troy, thank you guys so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been a
No
pleasure chatting
problem.
with you
Thank you
guys.
for coming on. You're a local legend here. There's nobody better at jigging in the area that we're aware of. If there is, come on our show. We're looking forward to fishing with you soon, whether it's with us or we go with you. Let us know. And just getting people involved in general. Like I said, Mike from Hatterells is an excellent guy. It's very important to support local tackle shops. These guys work day in and day out, not only to provide tackle for you when you're going for a trip, but also giving you knowledge. These guys know the local area. They know the fishermen. They know the people and where to go. And they're happy to help. Don't feel scared to ask them questions and how to perfect your sport, because overall, everyone in the industry, for the most part, wants you to do the best that you can and support you in every way that they can. So get out there and fish. We love you guys. Have a good night.